both as parents, both as community members, both as individuals. Because we're all supposed to be point of lights in our communities where we come from. If you can be here today, it means you've added value to yourself. And that means if you go back to your community, that tells that you're a point of light to those coming behind you, which we hardly partake in. And like I said, being a victim blamer, I once went to a school in Nasarawa. The children were under the tree. I shared scholastic materials to them, and I was asking them, they said they've never had the presence of government, that the only building they had was built by the PTA. I followed up the issue, I went to the ministry, and they showed me on paper that that particular school has a block of 3 classrooms and a staff room. You know? So they told me I should verify before I come and start making accusations. I went back. I think 2 days after that, the headmaster called me that the contractor is there, that he's trying to start the building. Now, why am I saying this? These are some of the things we can all do individually that does not even need an advocate. Like the chief crusader said, the microphone, the phones you have, they are all tools for advocacy. The people back in the village might not know these things, but you know them. I went to another community in Nasarawa. They had a block of classroom that is already down. They had one cracked one that was falling. And I had a community engagement with the communities. And I said, what do we do to fix this thing? They said, Wallahi agagaremu. I said, oh. I said, what church is that? They said, it's an Ekwa church. I said, who built it? They said, the community. I said, and the other one there, they said, it's a mosque. I said, who built it? They said, the community. I said, okay, these children that attend these churches and these mosques, they are supposed to read. How would they be able to function here without education? Since you abandoned fixing your schools and you fixed church and mosque. And just like the first speaker said, it's all the fear that is put in education. God will not do anything to you. The odds is on the poor people whose children are in the public schools. Right now, public school has become a place for the poor. So those who have money take their children to the public schools. Private school, sorry. Back to Mina here. I grew up in Zumba. I attended Central Primary School, Zumba. And like I said, that was 30-something years ago. We sat on the floor. Go to that school now, children still sit on the floor. That's 30-something. We no longer drive the cars we drive 30-something years ago now. So education is the only thing that has not moved. So when I started an NGO, I said, where best to start, and my route, where I started from. I went to that community to share scholastic materials. There were more children outside than those in the classroom that were watching what was happening. And I asked what was the problem. I said, okay, get me all their names. They got their names, they were like 200 and something. I said, oh, there are up to 200 and something children that are not in school in this small community. I said, okay, I made uniforms for all of them, gave them books and everything. Education is free. I put them in school. They were meant to be paying 200 naira. I think 100 was for, no, the 200 is for exam fee. Some of the parents said, because before I did that, I invited the parents, I needed their consent to put their children in school. I gave them a form to fill. I said, if I come back anytime and your child is not in school, you will refund me the money for the uniform and everything I spent, which they all signed to before I enrolled them. A particular parent stood up and said he cannot afford that 200. 10. And he had a mobile phone. I said, do you recharge this phone? He said, yes. I said, how often? He said, Randall, I've had an equal. I said, in 3 years, in 3 months, Allah should give you equal to get 200 naira to pay for this child. He said, oh, is it 3 months? I said, yes. He said, oh, it's doable. You know, why am I saying this is that the knowledge is not there for them. We that are point of light that know these things do not go there to tell them these things. After that 200 are enrolled, they got list again for another 300 plus. This is in one community. We enrolled, I think the next enrollment we did was up to 600 and something children. Subeb attended, Ministry of Education attended, it was a big event. We enrolled them, that's to Central and Model Primary School, Zumba. After the enrollment, I came back, I was in a car wash in Boso. So somebody just approached me, he said, what do I do? You know, directly. I was like, why would you just ask me that? He said, no, that he just felt like asking. I said, okay, I run an NGO, I intervene in schools. He said, please, can I come and help this community? I said, where is your community? He said, it's in Kodo. I said, okay, we'll go there tomorrow. I said, what's actually the problem? He said, the school is not growing. It has remained the same way for years. We went there, I think there were less than 30 children in the school. I gave the 30 of them books, biro, pencils. I said they should get me their names. So I think the next day, before we came, there were up to 100 and something children in the school because the others got books. They also wanted it. I made uniform for all of them. And we moved to the other community opposite. That's Kato. That school for years remained primary 1 to 3 with 19 children, 16 boys and 3 girls. I went to the village head, they said they've tried all forms of advocacy, it's not working. Interestingly, they had a lot of prominent people from that community, and they said they have also tried to do things to improve the school. I said, okay, I took the names of those 19 children, brought a tailor, made uniform for them. After 1 week, we had 100 plus. Because the difference between a child in school and the one that is not in school is that uniform. Mm-hmm. And for the children, it's just pride to wear uniform. Before I stopped going there, I think we had up to close to 300 children in that school. And they were like, uncle, they need football. I said, yes, if you guys can stay in school for 1 whole year, I'll buy you all the football you need. That's motivation. So after a year, we now did an impact analysis of those enrollments we did. We found out that some of them dropped. What were the reasons? A whole lot of things. Some had to relocate. You know, parents had no steady income. Then, the big factor was a child cannot go to school in the morning without eating. Come back in the afternoon, there's still no food. There's no way that child will stay in school. So poverty was the number one factor. So if we keep talking about out of school, out of school, out of school, it's going to be lip service. We'll keep talking about it. If we're not addressing poverty along with it, it's not sustainable. That's one. Then, another thing I also looked at was on the aspect of the teachers. And to follow up with what the other speaker said about the girl child. I've been to schools in Niger State that is purely a girls' school. And you have 11 male teachers, no girl teacher, no female teacher. Yes, who was in charge of the school feeding? Because I saw what the children were eating. She said, I'm APC, never alive, won't send you back. You know, it's not supposed to be a secret court. Government introduced that thing to keep children in school. Like the community I talked about in Kato, they said the children come, if they eat, they go home. And if they don't give them food, the community comes to say, why would they not give the children food? That it's government food. And I said, okay, do not serve this food till the end of classes. Only the children who stay in class should eat. And if they ask, tell them an NGO came here and said that's how it should be. Because that was an incentive to get children to school. But like I said, we're all not following up with that. We're all not concerned with that. Would rather post somebody who did an evil thing in the community, or a girl who is promiscuous, or a woman who left her husband. All those are in the social media space. Nothing about the school in your community. Nothing about what you can do to advance those schools in your community. So for me, I think everybody has a role to play beyond government. Everybody has if you've been able to attend those schools, and you're a product of education, you should go back to your community and tell them that if you can turn out this way, these children should also turn out this way. They brought the case of a particular boy in Zumba that I sold uniform for, and he wasn't coming to school. Because I had a form for every child I enrolled with their passport. I had a register for them in those schools that the teachers were marking for me. So if you don't come to school, I call your parents. So the father said he's tired, this boy is not coming to school. I said, okay, bring this boy. They brought him. He said he was doing babambola. That he wakes up in the morning without food. If he goes to school and comes back, there is no food. So he has to go and do this thing to get money to eat. And I now looked at, will I blame this child? What can I say to him? He's really doing the right thing. He wants to survive. And to cap it off, the boy said that you know, which is the general thing around the communities these days. There are people who go to school, but some have jobs. Those people who have jobs, the prominent people, they enter the village on Friday, they leave on Sunday morning. They don't even have time to check the schools, what's happening there. If they are leaving on Monday, they leave very early on Monday morning. So for me, the advocacy, I blame the government. I want to talk about the government, but I just give you an instance where the government has on record that a school is built somewhere, and that school is not there. And like I said, the monitoring and evaluation has become more difficult now that the fuel is an issue. So the people can help with the resources available to them. Take pictures. You know, advocate, you have a community leader. He has people he can talk to. I'm from the East. Where I come from, somebody walks into a school, a young man in Lagos that is just making money, he will say, okay, I want to paint the whole of this school. Give me a cost. He does that. Somebody else will be like, oh, you want to show you've made money. Get me the cost of putting chairs in all these classes. They give him the cost. He does that. And in that spirit of competition, the school is fixed. But here we would rather share those money. When I was in Abuja, we had a community kind of fellowship like that where we sit down and talk. And one day, one man asked me, why don't I talk about politics? I said, because whatever I say does not give here we're sitting. It doesn't change anything. I said, for me, I'm an advocate of what have you done in your own little group. Here we have professors who die with their knowledge. They don't transfer it. There are no avenues for that. And you tell some people, oh, do advocacy, help people. They will tell you, if I don't have money, how can I help someone? But we've seen in other countries, somebody goes to maybe front of Aliu Muazu Memorial School and stands there at 12 o'clock, help the children cross the road. That does not require money. You've done a charity work. A youth couple in Abuja called me and said she was bored, she doesn't have any. I said, look for volunteer groups, join one. And if job opportunity comes, who would best be considered? It's the person who is volunteering. But for them, it's not a paid job. Why should I do it? And you're sitting down, you're not doing anything, you're not adding value, you're not even getting the reward you're supposed to get from God. So for me, I believe we can talk and talk and talk. If we don't do things, things will not be done. Everybody can do something from his or her own standpoint. Be it using your mobile phone, be it educating the next person who is close to you, be it, it's unlimited what you can do with the little knowledge you already have. So, like I said, I'm a victim blamer. If you tell me somebody slapped you, I will say, what did you do? I do not believe it was right for the person to slap you, but I also have to know, what did you do? What made that person slap you? So if we say the government is not doing anything, what are we doing? We're also not doing anything. The governor is not the one who goes to those schools to provide chairs, provide classrooms and all that. It's somebody's job. What are we doing to hold those people accountable? What are we doing to make sure they are doing their jobs? You can walk into any public school and ask, I went to a school, the whole school was closed down. Where is the teachers? Where is Jogona? And for that day, there is no classes. You know somebody from the Ministry of Education cannot get to that community that day, and the teachers know that. If they know somebody is coming, all of them will be there. But you in the community can help the ministry with that job. You can call somebody and say, this school has been closed down. And definitely somebody from the ministry will reach out, why is that happening? Because he knows somebody is already looking out. So for me, it's not about what we say, it's what are we doing? What are we doing to help in our own personal capacity, not because of the office you hold, but what have you done as a person for your community, for the schools there, even though your children are not in those schools. And like I keep saying, the SBMC was a body established by the government to govern schools in the local communities. The communities do not even know about SBMC. It's also like a secret court in the school system, where 5 people are just holding on to it. So we have to take this advocacy from the urban area down to the rural areas. Sitting down in the city center and talking about it would not help. Those there, some of them do not have the resources to even listen to what we are saying. But this advocacy needs to get to them. The gap between the rural and urban areas in education is too wide. And these children are supposed to come and compete in the same space at the tertiary level. How do you bridge that gap? A child in some community has never seen a computer before and is supposed to get to COE or LAPI or Footmina and compete with children who have been working with computer right from primary schools. So if we're talking about fixing education, it's not lip service, it's what are we doing? Where is the advocacy getting to? The government can provide these things that will be vandalized. What's the community doing to secure what the government has given to them? Those are some of the issues we need to be discussing. I do sweat equity for any project I do in any community. The community has to put in something. If I'm making uniform, I bring tailor from that community. I make them understand that I'm helping your community, I'm not here. So if you're making dress for 500, I'm paying you 200. I make all of them accountable to those communities, because if I want to fix your classroom, if I buy cement, you should bring sand. Your women should fetch water. That way, if you see somebody destroying that thing tomorrow, you remember the time you put in there, and you will not let that thing waste. So I think government also, whatever they are doing, there should be community ownership of those projects. That's the only way to secure it. If they have town hall meetings, they use primary schools, they use those chairs. They break them, nobody accounts for them. Then you expect the government to come back and fix them. I've gone to schools where you see they pack like broken furnitures. These furnitures can be fixed. They have members of, they have carpenters in their PTA that they can just, I went to a school, I said, get your carpenters, they got them. And you know, from broken furnitures, we got up to like 20-something furnitures. So, we can keep talking, but for me, it's what are we doing or what are we going to do as a people, not as government. Thank you.